If you have no experience in a tech sales interview, it can feel like a performance trying to convince a hiring manager why they can hire you and trying to pretend like you're somebody that you're not. And to be fair, you might be an imposter because it's hard to prove that you can sell something when you really haven't sold a thing. My name is Lukas Arellano, and I landed a BDR job without going to college or having experience. I got promoted to account executive because I crushed it as a BDR. So by the end of this video, you'll know how to say with confidence how you're gonna crush it at your job and how to answer why should we hire you in a way that feels real, a way that you can say with your chest. You're gonna walk away with this video with not only a plan to get hired, but how to make as much money as humanly possible once you're on the roll. The 4 golden rules of becoming a top performing tech sales BDR. Do more activity than everyone and make sure it's quality. Connect with top performers and understand the most common objections and the best cold outreach tactics. Study the best cold outreach tactics when it comes to cold calling, cold emailing, prospecting, and knowing your product like the back of your hand and how it affects each person you'll be selling into. Now, the first of the 4 that we're going to cover is doing more activity than anyone and making sure that it's quality activity. A really fast way that you can do this by implementing research into your activity but still keeping high volumes of activity is by doing the 3x3 rule before every cold call or while you're building your list. The 3x3 rule is pretty simple. Spend no more than 3 minutes trying to collect 3 pieces of information on your prospect. The most relevant information that you can include in your outreach, whether it's your cold call openers or the first line in your emails or your subject lines, is going to be things about that person and maybe something they posted, something about that person and their personal life. Podcasts that they're on, news article, anything that you can say about them specifically and why it relates to your outreach. The second most relevant piece of information you can find is information on the company. So most recent rounds of funding, if they launch a new product, you can check the CEO's page to see if they're posting about stuff that the company's, up to or whatever. And the last but not least piece of information is industry information. Oftentimes, if you find a piece of information on the industry, you can use this in all of the prospects you're reaching out to within that industry. This might be a bill that's passed, a law that's passed, a news article that's affecting everyone in the industry. You wanna make sure that you're collecting information on everyone you're gonna be reaching out to because spray and pray doesn't work. Making $500 a day with no research to each person is an extreme waste of time. You're better off making $100 a day or maybe even 50 and having a very qualified list of people and a good reason as to why you're reaching out to show them that you did your research and you're not just dialing off a list, because that's how you get hung up on. Make it seem like you're a robot, you're just dialing a list, they'll hang up. If you show them the research you did in your cold call opener, they're gonna wanna hear you out. The second best tip to making sure that you're doing extremely high quality activity while keeping high quantity, make sure everyone you're prospecting into is a really close fit to your ideal customer profile. Look for intent signals. It's a signal that shows they might have intent to buy. So if your product helps them onboard new reps, an intent signal would then hiring a lot of new reps. What signal can I look for? What activity would they possibly do that would signify their intent to buy from us? So those 2 tips are how to collect information to do quality outreach. The best way to do quantity amount of outreach and always hit quota is by tracking your activity. If you can do the math on exactly how many calls you made in a month and how many meetings you booked, divide how many meetings you booked by how many calls you made, and you get a call to meeting ratio. This will help you understand how many calls you need to make every month to hit your meeting quota, and then work backwards from that. Okay, if I have to make 1,000 calls a month, how many people is that a day? How many people do I have to prospect into my list a day? Don't work on hours, work on inputs and outputs, and you'll never miss quota like I did. All right, the second point on how to crush as an SDR on the roll is study the most effective cold outreach tactics. I'd be here for hours if I was trying to explain that. I have a video up here on how to open up a cold call. I have another video of how to effectively cold email. But by studying the most effective cold outreach tactics, you will not feel like an imposter when you're in your interview. Don't spend more than a week doing this. There's a ton of YouTube videos out there helping you do this. And I posted some as I just alluded to, but know what you're talking about. Know how to cold call, know how to cold email going into these interviews. It's gonna help you land interviews if you implement that. And it's also gonna help you in your mock sessions in your interviews when they have you do a mock cold call. If you know how to open it, do a value proposition, and handle objections, you're gonna fly. If you're on your job hunt, I actually have a free guide on how to break into tech in the community below. It includes 340 other job seekers just like yourself. It has live weekly group calls with me and a ton of bonus resources that will be a huge help to you in your job hunt. I wish I had this in mind, that's why I made it. I'll also give you access to me. You can DM me if you need help with anything specifically. And I'd love to see you on the other side of this phone and talk to you soon. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time focusing on a cold call because this is really gonna help you land interviews and get through your interviews. And obviously once you're on the job, crush it. So the opener needs to be short and concise and permission-based. Ask them for permission to pitch and show them the research you did when you're opening the cold call. And don't sound robotic like I do now. Smile, don't be too energetic, but go up and down with your voice. Once they give you permission to pitch, your value proposition needs to be super concise, leading with pain. So most job titles I speak with deal with this pain or find it ridiculous they have to deal with this pain. Our solution eliminates that by, and then mention no more than 2 features. I'd stick to 1 about your product and make sure that pain that you're highlighting is directly relatable to their job title. And then objection handling. You don't fight them if they say, I'm not interested. You don't say, why not? You agree with them and change the way you ask your question. Once again, especially for your mock interviews, all of these tips are in the community below. The third tip, copying top performers. I alluded to this earlier when I first listed this, but you want to copy the most common objections that they have and how they handle them. You want to A/B test their cold call openers with the permission-based opener I just gave you. What is A/B testing? It is testing 2 different things and see which one gets you the best results. To do this with email, you can change the subject line and send the same email but different subject lines to see which one gets open more, which one gets replied more. A pro tip here, always test no more than 1 variable at a time so you can see what it is that's getting you the best results. And last but not least, this might be obvious, but you have to be an expert on your product. On the top of your head, you want to know how to tailor your pitch to everybody you're going to be selling into, because your product is going to have features that yield a result that is different to the CEO versus CFO. So by understanding the product fully, understanding the role that you're calling into and how your product can help them will allow you to reach out to anybody and be top performer at your company. Now, I know it may seem simple, what I just gave you. It's not easy, it takes a lot of practice, but you follow those 4 steps and you will make as much money as possible and get promoted to AE ASAP. Memorize them, use them in your interviews, show them you understand what it takes to be a top performer, and you will land your job. As I mentioned, I have the community down in the link below. 340 plus job seekers, maybe at 350 now. Almost everything you need to break into tech and access to me. So I'd love to see you in there. Thanks for watching. I post stuff like this every Saturday, and I'll see you in the next video.